Pirating the YQL way. This is a really random talk title. In fact, Chris asked me to do something. He's like, yeah, that sounds good. So let's start with some pirate jokes. Who likes pirates? Say, arr! Arr! That was rubbish. Say, arr! Arr! Much better. What did the pirate say when his wooden leg got stuck in the freezer? Shiver me timbers. No? So the point of this talk, other than telling incredibly crap pirate jokes, which will be liberally scattered through the talk, it's about plundering the 7 seas of data. So the web is this really interesting, wonderful thing, and it's full of data. There's data absolutely everywhere. There's all this kind of interesting stuff that we could just access if only it was a little bit more in touch. So my entire talk is actually a man standing at a computer typing stuff. This is what all hacker films would be like this in real life. You know, there's no Angelina Jolie, there's me sitting there typing stuff into a computer. Beardman, that's right. Thank you, Brian. So this is YQL. Hands up people that have used YQL at all before. Few people. Okay, good. So for everybody else, I'm going to do a short demo, and then I'm going to explain how this is even slightly relevant to JavaScript. So to start with, hands up people that have used SQL. Right, you all know YQL to a greater or lesser extent. Show tables has given me a list of all the tables. And right now, this is all Yahoo stuff, which is, you know, some of this stuff's cool, some of it, you know, maybe you don't care. But if I click on the show community tables, we now have this great list down the side. And this is every table that anybody's ever committed. And it's really good because we suddenly have access to a cajillion sets of data, or 737, if you really want to push me. Let me make the font bigger as well for people. Ooh, bit too big. You're not your grandma. So if we want to do something with this, let's actually start using it. So select star from search.web. Anybody care to guess what search.web does? Thank you, sir. It searches the web. Stand up. Who was that? This guy. Stand up. That man's won a T-shirt for answering the most obvious question in the whole talk. Come and see me later. We'll get you a T-shirt. So what do we want to search the web for? Not Brian. Everybody but Brian can answer this. What do we want to search the web for? Pirates. All right, there you go. If I can spell, and what a query equals pirates. And this is the thing, is I'm such a ham-fisted drunkard. If I can use the system, basically everybody in the whole world can use the system. So we run this, it goes to a web service, and it fetches a bunch of results about pirates. Hands up people that use Yahoo Web Search. Really? Awesome. Thanks, guys. You're like making my money. But you know, hands up people that use Google Web Search. All right? So let's go and search Google table instead. Because you know, this isn't about you know, us constraining you to any particular thing. It's about us kind of allowing you to access web services in a really meaningful way. So we clicked on the table. It's given us an easy default. This is like a sample thing that you could run. So we obviously, in this case, would change from pizza to pirates, or ninjas. Let's search for ninjas, just to give it a bit of balance to the force. So, and then you've got some Google search results. So the point of this system is that we've got some really interesting ways, and easy ways to get access to this web data, right? And you can start to mix it up. So people use Flickr. Most people use Flickr. So let's do some searches for stuff. Pirates is awesome. Where, see? Text equals pirates. Awesome. Okay, so we've got this stuff. This is kind of interesting. We've got a bunch of pirates, but does anybody know how to manually construct Flickr URLs just off the top of their head? And that's probably my cell phone. Classy. So nobody knows how to construct these Flickr URLs off the top of their heads because it's kind of obtuse. But what you can do instead is if we take one of these IDs, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it in here. So select star from flickr.photos.info, where ID equals this, and the thing. photo ID. So it's helping me not fuck it up. There we go. Right, so this is the thing, and if we click on this here, okay, it wasn't my phone, somebody else's phone. Everybody throw their phones on the floor. No? All right, so, I guess it's got a skull and crossbones. That's rubbish. I'm not impressed with that pirate picture, but, so let's get the rest. So, can anybody guess that's used SQL what we're going to do in order to munge these two things together? Inner queries. Did somebody say subselects? No, nobody said subselects. Let's do it. Select star from flickr.photos.search. Wait, yeah. Where text equals pirates. Okay? That gets us a bunch of stuff. But what we really want is we want the IDs to feed into here. So let's do in this like that. That's going to break because it doesn't want that. It wants one. Ooh. Photos. Thank you. Perfect. So now we have the information from all 10 of the photos. So instead of that single URL, which was really annoying, we've now got the whole information from everything, which is great, right? This is starting to get really useful. Now, obviously, I know how much everybody enjoys looking at XML, so let's switch up. Let's go to JSON. And this is where YQL starts to get really useful, because suddenly you've got, and I guess people can probably see immediately, this isn't JSON, this is actually JSONP. So you can wrap whatever function you want around this, and you can use that in order to get this straight into a web application. And there's jQuery plugins, there's Dojo plugins, there's YUI plugins, there's a Node plugin, there's a Node module that somebody made, right? This is absolutely everywhere, and if you need to get any kind of web services, it's bang on. So what does it have to do with JavaScript? Let's kind of dig into that a little bit deeper. Does anybody do anything for Pirate Day? This is what I did for Pirate Day last year. This is a blog post, and I basically decided it kind of sucked that the web wasn't piratey enough. It's a good photo, isn't it? You've never seen me on a weekend. It's amazing. So it's like, what can we do to make the web more piratey? So I built this little bookmarklet using YQL, and I'm going to show it you. Now, the problem is that it works best when you pick websites with lots of text, but with small words or easy words. So let's go to Fox News. Right? And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I wanted to. I'd already been playing with the story about the volcano, because I'm going to show you my system. But I was playing with this story earlier. So here's this story about this volcano and the big cloud of ash. And I really, really, really like the name. I'm going to try and Hughes-Croucher. Sounds great. What an awesome name for a volcano. So I clicked my Piratized bookmark, and it now reads. So let me read the first version. The first version reads, blah, 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 blah. Scientists say that because the volcano is situated below a glacial ice cap, the magma is being cooled quickly, causing explosions, blah, blah, blah. There's all of this stuff. So let's piratize that. So how I'm doing this is really quite simple. Magicians say that because the volcano be situated below a glacial ice cap, yonder magma be cooled quickly. It's really quite stupid. But how did I do that? What was the thing that I did? So here's a table that I built in YQL. It's connected to some cloud storage, so you can insert stuff and store stuff. It's a key value store. It's not whatever, but you can see that what I did was I swapped the word plane for ship. Pirates don't have friggin' planes. Who ever heard of that? So pirates have ships. So let's swap the word planes for ships. And I can also take this table that I did, and you can see actually this is a really interesting feature of YQL is I'm not just selecting data. YQL lets you insert data as well. So this is one of the really key features is that it's a full kind of SQL set, but let's select star from that instead. From select star from pirate speak dictionary. And this is my list of pirate words. What's awesome, this site is live, right? So if you, I'm going to give you some instructions in a minute, but if you all go here, then you also can add pirate terms. and the dictionary will get better with awesome pirate terms. So let's pirate it up. Why is pirating addictive? Because once you lose your first hand, you get hooked. Zing! So how does this work? Basically what I've done is this is the same URL we had before, and this is incredibly easy to read font. I went through all the fonts on my Mac and I was like, that one looks like pirate font. So it's developer.yahoo.com/YQL/console. So this is this easy console I've been demoing. And then I've added to the end of it this environment file, env equals store blah de blah de blah. And basically what this does is this tells YQL to load a bunch of extra tables. So I click and I'm going to get my thing. And now you can see that I've got this extra table called Pirate Speak. And I've got a dictionary, and then I've also got the translator. And actually what the bookmarklet was doing was it was calling this translation using JSONP. And then it was replacing all of the text on the page. So it was just doing a giant inner HTML on the whole page. So let's have a look at this. I mean, it's, what we're doing, we're taking some text, we're translating it. Hello, friend. I'm a mighty pirate looking for a good woman. Do you know where the nearest bar is to the left or the right? Ahoy, mate. Mighty pirate looking for a good wench, and so on and so forth. And all of these words are getting drawn from this dictionary that we've got. So let's start looking at some code. Code's more interesting than the other stuff. So let's see. OK. Make this a lot bigger. So YQL, all of these tables, all of this stuff that we've got, if I show the community tables that we were looking at the beginning, whichever tab that's in, all of these tables are contributed by other people that want to get a particular web service. And anybody can just write these, and this is the one that I wrote in order to do the pirate stuff. And this is where it gets really interesting, because we're actually running on the server. All of this is actually Rhino. So we're using Rhino. You've got JavaScript 1.8. And we possibly have the only legitimate use in the whole world of E4X. Because I really personally hate E4X quite a lot. But when you have to work with XML, it's fairly helpful. So essentially, what this table does, and you can see, so let's break it down a little bit. You can see that we've got some keys. So when I'm selecting stuff from these tables, I've got a key, HTML. I'm passing that in. And then there's some other keys. So there's a select store ID. That's actually getting passed through automatically for me. And there's a couple of types. I could also have passed in a URL. And in the case of the URL, it does essentially the same thing. But instead of getting the HTML passed in, it goes and fetches it using the web service. So it's doing this REST call to go and fetch it and bring it in and pass it and do all of that. The JavaScript's fairly simple. I'm tokenizing the whole page. So I'm getting every DOM element, tokenizing it down into single pieces. I then find the content. So this is all the stuff in the middle of tags that's actual words, pass them out, put them into single word tokens, and then just go through my dictionary and replace, find a word, replace it, find a word, replace it. It's not a perfect approach, but it worked for half an hour on a Saturday, so what can you say? So that's a really nice way of being able to do something really random and crazy. And it's great because all of this is running in Yahoo's cloud. I don't have to host any of this. The only thing that I'm doing is the bookmarklet literally includes a script which just runs this, and that's it. So it's incredibly simple. So the bookmarklet looks something like that. So all this literally does creates a script. And then that includes somewhere, I don't know where I put the script. I guess I closed it. But that just includes YQL. So let me find that real quick. We could just open it straight off the website. And this is the thing. So YQL is just so easy to access. So that looks like this. All I do is I create the query, which is that. So the URL of the page. I call the URL. I include it as a script. And Bob's your uncle. It's just JSONP, right? So this is me doing something really spurious, right? I mean, obviously, you don't need to translate everybody's pages to pirate. But if you wanted to get access to a web service, it's the same ease and simplicity. So although I do advocate dorking around with Fox News, that's obviously worth it. let's see, I had something else I was going to talk about. Oh, right. So yeah, to give you an example of kind of other stuff that you can create, pirate jokes. I'm getting all my pirate jokes off this website called piratejokes.net. You know, I know, right? It's like, who would have thought? You know, I search for pirate jokes and there's piratejokes.net. And I particularly like this. I don't know if it's going to work. Arr! Wait. You know what I mean? This is possibly the best site on the internet. But, you know, I was like, oh, he's a pop-up pirate indeed. So I wanted these jokes, and it's like, well, you know, why don't I just knock up a table to go and get them? And actually, somebody was like, you should do that in the break. So wherever you are, thank you. This is a really quick table that I knocked up that pulls all the jokes out of that, and I have it queued up somewhere. There we go. So you can see that I'm using a use statement. So use http://kid666.com. That's my domain. It annoyed my parents when I was a bit younger. Whatever. Now it annoys my wife, so it's still working. And I've included the pirate jokes XML that I made. So this is this XML as pirate jokes. And then I can select stuff from pirate jokes. And it's gone off and it's got me some of the jokes. Some of these are really terrible, though. Why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels. I mean, yeah, I know, right? Yeah, brr. Whoever wrote that should be shot. Make them walk the gangplank, you know? So yeah, so some of these jokes are really quite terrible. But the point is that it took me, you know, in order to get that really fast, I used some CSS selectors. So I scraped the page. I used some CSS selectors right here, so you can see that I pulled out the joke setup, dug down to the elements that I wanted, and then simply constructed some XML, iterated over it, and created the XML which comes out in that format. So creating these tables is really simple, and it just allows you to do all kinds of weird and wonderful things. So what do you call a pirate with 2 eyes and 2 legs? A rookie. Hey, no? I'm running super fast today. So that was actually it. Wow, that was really short. Try YQL, make something awesome. And yeah, questions? I guess I did that really fast. Yes?
What about authenticated, like RESTful web services?
That's a great question. So the question is, what about authenticated RESTful web services? Let's do Netflix. Who wants to see my Netflix login details? Yay! Netflix. Jeez. Somewhere. No. All right. So yeah, you can do all kinds of things, and this is why it's really awesome having JavaScript on the server, because we were talking about how are we gonna make it extensible so that it will work with more web services. Because obviously, I've written, and this is true, I've written an XML RPC library in JavaScript and a SOAP library in JavaScript, so that you don't have to, right? Nobody wants to do that, and I did because I'm foolish. So let me just log in real quick. Yes, my password is **********, or round, because I'm using a Mac. So these are my OAuth credentials. Have people used OAuth? People familiar with OAuth? If you're not familiar with OAuth, you should get familiar quick, because Twitter are about to turn off the basic auth, and at that point you will not be able to use the Twitter API without knowing OAuth. So it's a good reason to get familiar. And you can see that we actually have, so if I turn on the community tables, let's do that. Somewhere is a Netflix table. And you can indeed access Netflix using OAuth, using the table. So we've done the description. It's told us I need a term, a CK, and a CKS. So let's select star from that, where CK equals that, and CKS, which stands for consumer key and consumer key secret. It's basically these. Inside the brackets. Term. Anybody want to give me a term for a movie? Pirates? Yeah, all right. Original there, sir. Right, I'm going to copy that. I need to, and this table's enforcing HTTPS, which is fairly sensible given that it's accessing stuff with secrets and whatnot. So yeah, there we go. Bob's your uncle. You've got that, and we can actually look at the source of the table too, wherever the hell Netflix has gone again. And yeah, I mean, it's, it's fairly standard JavaScript. Come on, Chrome. There we go. It just includes the OAuth libraries straight off Google Code, runs them, and then does some OAuth signatures. It's 2-leg this, but you can do 3-leg as well.
What about something that's not in the tables, like Netflix is in the tables? What about some
Build it.
proprietary, somebody just has a web service that's not totally exposed to everybody, but you have authenticated to use it?
So well, you can use it. I mean, you don't have to put it in the tables. So you saw, oh. It just randomly went off. Wow. This is what happens when you're on Flash, people. It just takes over. So yeah, you can see that, I mean, to be honest, yeah, loading stuff off kid666.com is not an incredibly, legitimate place to host content, but, it works for me. So you can just include any domain. The other thing is these these environment files, you can set those yourself. You can just make your own and host it somewhere, and it's just got all of your stuff in and not anybody else's. So yeah, any other questions?
Last question, does it handle session cookies?
Yes, it does cookies.
How does it actually pull in the information of like where you use a web page? Is it using Yahoo's local store of that web page? Like, because I had one that did a lot of robots and it wouldn't let me pull in the HTML.
Right. So the question is, how is it pulling? It does use the HTML table, which means that Yahoo respects the robots.txt. So if somebody has a robots.txt that says no robots, then so be it. You can kind of get around that, but we don't really advocate it because it's naughty. Bad pirate. Yeah, I'm a pirate. Any other questions? Great. Hands up people that have got a beer. Right, everybody else, go and get a beer. The chest is at the back. And then fill out some Crockford facts. That's it, I'm done.